What's up, guys? Welcome to week number 5 of the Horror Man Slashback Challenge. Each week, Joe sets up a theme for us, and we try to find a slasher film that fits that theme and review it. And the theme for this week is sports. So I was a little worried about this one because I wasn't sure how many movies I had or sports themed slasher movies I own. So I went through my collection and I found one to review, and that film is Varsity Blood. Now, right off the back, I'm going to say the best thing about this movie is the cover art, which kind of makes this release kind of unfortunate because you can see here this is a double feature release with Bloody Homecoming, which I didn't really watch that one yet, but I do love this artwork here. But you can see here that it's kind of squeezed, and I also like the image on the back. Well, I think this is good enough to actually be the cover art as well. Okay, let's get into the plot. Okay, essentially, you have this group of friends made up of cheerleaders and football players, and they're being stalked by a killer. And the reason they're being stalked is a year earlier, the head cheerleader had died in some kind of freak cheerleading accident. And so essentially, it's a year later, and the killer wants revenge for this death. Now, technically, the film should have started with the incident where the cheerleader dies, but they for some reason, they decided to make it part of this mystery, and you don't really get to see what happens until an hour into the movie. Now, there was another film called All Cheerleaders Die, and it opens with a really cool scene where this cheerleader goes to do a flip, and she miscalculates the distance, and she actually lands on her head and breaks her neck and kills herself, which is a really, really cool, brutal scene. Unfortunately, there's nothing really that cool in this movie like that. Now, the killer wears the school mascot uniform, and I think it's the name of the team is like the Warriors, so I think it was going like an Indian theme, but the costume is really silly looking, and it's actually kind of unfortunate because they show it way too much in the film, and it's never intimidating in any shot whenever you see the killer. The cool thing I did like about the killer is that he has two weapons. He has a tomahawk and a bow and arrow. Now, the kills with the tomahawk are kind of lame, but the bow and arrow kills are much, much better. Unfortunately, there's only 2 scenes where you see him kill with the bow and arrow, unfortunately. Now, the first death in this movie happens 6 minutes in, and the next death doesn't happen until 40 minutes later. And this is where the film really drags, because we're basically stuck with 40 minutes of backstory. And none of the people in the movie can really act that well, and it's really, really, really dull and dry because you're just watching people try to say lines, and it's so obvious that they're trying to act. None of the conversations come off as normal, which is kind of weird to watch a film like that where that's the case. What else was I going to say? Now, the one thing that did surprise me about this movie is that there actually was a football game in the movie, and I didn't think they would do that, because when the film starts, you see them finishing up football practice, and then I thought that was pretty much it. You see them toss the ball around a couple times, but there was an actual game. Now, the high school where this was filmed was the same high school that they shot Varsity Blues at. Now, I read up on this movie a little bit and found that the director actually went to this high school. So the game is kind of a shot from the sidelines, and at first I thought that it was stock footage because of it was darker than the rest of the movie. But now I realized, since he went to the school, they probably let him film an actual football game, and he just shot a couple minutes, and then, because you never see none of the actors actually playing in the game, it's just a couple scenes, and it looked like it was real, like a home movie style almost. So essentially, like, after the game, they go to this farmhouse, and I forgot to mention it's also Halloween. And the director, you can tell that he was inspired, or he must admire the original Halloween movie and the original Friday the 13th movie, because there's a lot of stuff in there that is like from those movies. Now, there's actually 3 red herrings in this film, and they all have credible reasons to be the killer. But when you do find out who the killer is, it's like totally out of left field, and it actually made the movie more enjoyable for me because it starts going into the so bad it's good category, whereas leading up to it, it was just bland. Like, a couple of the kills were good, and some of the kills, it was just too dark to see what was actually happening. And I think that was probably on purpose because the effects weren't that good. A couple of beheadings happened but it was really, really dark, you know. So I don't know. Like there would have, like if this film had better gore, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But those last 15 minutes were so hilarious to me that it actually made me enjoy the film. I just wish the whole thing was in the so bad it's good kind of vein. For the most part, it's just pretty much dull. Another thing about this film too is it teases with the nudity. Like the first in the first kill scene, the girl's taking a shower, but you don't see anything because she has a gym bag, and that's they got it obscuring her bottom half, and her back is turned to the camera. And then when she hears a noise, she puts on a towel immediately, so you see nothing. At that point, I'm thinking, why even bother doing a new scene? There's another scene too where a girl gets chained out in the open outside, which is really, really odd. And she takes off her clothes and she's wearing like her underwear and stuff. And then she puts on a top, but you never see her put on her pants. And the next scene, she's wearing pants. I'm thinking, well, technically, you didn't show that, so she should be walking around in her underwear, or just like being exposed from the waist down. But I don't know how. That was probably just poor editing on that point. The one thing I did like is there's a Scooby Doo reference in it, which kind of makes no sense when you look into the killer's motivations. I won't get it. If you see this movie, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So I guess that's pretty much it. I rambled on enough. Really can't recommend this one, but I am going to put a link to Joe's review in the description box, so I'm really interested to see what he's going to review this week. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you all next time.